Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're all well. Since my last video where I was showing you how to make one of these wind winders, I've had over 1,000 new subscribers, so thank you very much. Hello to all the new faces. I hope you enjoyed today's video, which is going to be all about building a dedicated grading station for the willow post-harvest. So although I'm not new to harvesting and grading willow, it is relatively new to me doing it at this scale. So in the hope of increasing efficiency and saving myself some time out in the field, I hope to create this dedicated station whereby the process can be streamlined and the whole thing will just run a little bit more smoothly. So let's get to it. So before any baskets or indeed any other willow projects are made, the willow first needs to be grown, harvested, graded and then stored until fully dry. Before weaving anything, the dried willow needs to be soaked in water for around 1 week. One of the main variables in soaking time is the willow's length as well as its variety. Combined with the fact that different weaving projects require different lengths of willow, makes this grading process really quite important further down the line. So grading and organising everything now, in terms of length and variety, will save me hours and hours later in the year when it comes to selecting material for workshops and different weaving projects. So the first step in building this grading station is going to be selecting a site. I want it to be positioned in an optimal location in terms of where the willow is coming from and where it will eventually end up. In between the two willow beds, I've decided to plant 2 rows of native hazel trees with fairly wide grass pathways either side so that there is space for me to organise and work through some of the willow. So I think this is going to be the best location for me to position the grading station. So I'm going to have one at the far end of the field, one in the middle, and perhaps even a couple more down this row as well. We'll see how things work out in the future. But yeah, I want it to be in an optimal location so that when I come to harvest the willow, it's not going backwards and forwards. I'm working from the field to where it will eventually end up in storage for the year. Once the site is chosen, I'm going to be digging a hole around 2 foot deep, wide enough to fit the water butt in that I'm using as the grading bucket, if you like. And then at the bottom of the hole, there's going to be a few inches of rubble and hardcore just to act as a little bit of drainage. I'm also drilling some holes in the bottom of the water butt because I don't want it to fill up with water throughout the year. Once the hole is dug, I'm going to pop in the water butt and then backfill it with the soil whilst whacking it down with a sledgehammer just to make sure it's secure and doesn't roll around or blow away in the wind. Having the water butt buried like this is going to enable me to use both hands to grade the willow rather than trying to steady the bucket with the other hand. The fact that it's partially buried will keep it secure and in place and won't move around too much whilst I'm trying to grade the willow. I'm going to be using a steel post next to the water butt as a height indicator. At 1 foot intervals, I'm using some blue electrical tape with the height written on those, just to make things a little bit more easy and streamlined. Once all of these steps are complete, I can then go ahead and grade the willow. I do this by grabbing a bundle of ungraded, freshly harvested willow and popping it into the water butt. So starting with the longest lengths of willow, I can reach up to the top, grab a handful of the tips, and then rattle them to shake out any of the smaller lengths that will be graded later. Once all of the willow is graded, I can then go ahead and bind it up into manageable bundles and store it for the next 4 to 6 months until I'm ready to use it later in the year. And And as I've mentioned already, having the willow organised in terms of variety and length makes the whole process further down the line so much easier. So there you have it, guys. I hope you found this video useful. Please let me know if you go ahead and use any of these techniques. I'm not taking any credit for this idea. This is how a lot of commercial growers grade their willow. The sunken bucket idea and the grading post is certainly nothing that I've come up with. It's nothing new. It's been tried and tested over the years, and it's probably one of the most efficient ways to grade your willow on a large scale. The willow coppice is far from complete. I am still planning on expanding a little bit this year, so perhaps this time next year I'll be calling in some extra help and some volunteers, hopefully, in exchange for some experience. So yeah, watch this space. And until the next video, I hope you all keep well, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.